Stop imagining that you can understand exactly what the rest of the world is thinking. Stop imagining that you have the empathy that enables you to see what the rest of the world is thinking all the time, and open your goddamn eyes. I'm the Chris who plays games, and this is your CPG Rant of the evening. I'm going to give you a little bit of truth as far as I see it. I think that there are so many people in the world, especially from my particular party, who are, or my side of the political aisle, so many people from my side of the political aisle who look around and say, oh, Trump voters are racist, or oh, Trump voters are X, or they're white working class, or black working class. Well, not black working class, but there are all these different things. And no one who isn't one of these categories that I've put people in can really be a Trump voter. No one who isn't one of these categories I've put people in can really be a Clinton voter. No one who's in one of these buckets that I have built up in my mind can really be behaving in the way that I think they are. And that is ridiculous. The idea that you can put every single person on this planet or in this country or anything else like that into some bucket that fits a particular decision criteria, the idea that you can go ahead and say, like, hey, just because he did X, he clearly fits this criteria, and I can say he's a racist or a bigot or whatever else like that, is so frustrating and counterproductive. So much of how we got into our current political situation, for those of you who are in the U.S., or even for those of you who are worldwide, in our current political situation in the U.S., is the strict and stupid partisanship that we have in this country. And I am so goddamn tired of trying to convince liberals that there are actually reasonable people on the other side of the fence. There are reasonable people on the other side of the fence. Donald Trump, although he is a racist bigot, is not did not only appeal to that. Like Bernie Sanders, he offered an alternative to the standard politics in Washington, and to go ahead and turn on that and say, no, like all the people there are racist, or all the people are this, or all the people are that, is misleading, unhelpful, and stupid. And I've made this mistake a lot myself, and I'm not going to throw that away. Like, I have made this mistake repeatedly, but as I look around and I continue to open my eyes and see this, I just look around and I say, oh my God, like, take a goddamn step back. Take a step back from the edge, a step back from the ledge, and realize that there are other people who are human beings and have different goals and thoughts and ideas, and not just whatever box you put them into. Whether it's a cardboard box in Metal Gear Solid, or the box that you draw around them and put them in your little grid of here's how deplorable they are, or anything else like that. Stop it! The only way to move forward and interact with other people is to get back into a state where we have empathy for those who are different from us and don't agree with us. The only way we're going to be able to do that. And there are many people who say, no, we just need to excite the base. We just need to take the Democrats and win back the base. Well, you know what? There are 21% of Americans identify as Democrats, 25% identify as Republicans, and 60% identify in the middle. Those numbers don't add up, but make them add up. They identify in the middle as independents. Now, are they truly independents insofar as they are truly independently offering something? No, of course not. There's lots of low information voters in there who vote on whatever news source they happen to have and everything else like that. But the reality is that there are a lot of people who consider themselves to be in the middle because the base on either side votes very religiously in the direction that they're voting. And what you need to do is open your eyes to the other side. And it certainly is the case that there is a 25% of people who describe themselves as Republicans that support 90% of what Donald Trump is doing at the moment. And I think that those people are always going to believe that. And it is very difficult to move people who are in that realm. And some of those people, especially when you interact with them online, are going to be operatives who are working to, sow disinformation or other things like that. It is absolutely the case that there are people out there who are doing that. But if you treat every individual you interact with as if they are being legitimate and truthful with you about their opinions, and instead of just putting them in a box, think and listen and hear them, you're going to do so much better than you do otherwise. And it makes me so frustrated. It makes me so frustrated to watch people who are seeing stories from a photojournalist traveling through the middle of America and talking to black people who voted for Trump, or maybe didn't vote for Trump but don't really think that whether they voted for Trump or Clinton it's going to make a difference, and say, you're cherry picking examples. How the fuck do you know? Not necessarily cherry picking examples. Yes, I understand that only 8% of the American population, who is the American black population, voted for Donald J. Trump, and I get that. But the reality is that the people who aren't are going to be outside of cities, because the people in cities almost like very heavily voted for Trump. So of course, when you go to Youngstown, Ohio, or like bumfuck nowhere in any place, especially from Ohio to Iowa, of course that's going to be where you're going to interact with minority voters who say, we're fucked either way. Have some goddamn empathy, people. Don't try and attack everyone who finds a counterexample that breaks your narrative. Listen and learn from it. Stop just doing whatever you think is right. Stop just interacting exactly the way that you think is the way that people should interact, and learn and listen and hear. Because the reality is, if you want to move forward in this country, if you want to move forward in politics, if you want to move forward in fixing any of this, attacking and improving some of the drastic partisanship that has allowed us to be so divided and against each other, when honestly, most of us want the same goddamn thing. Democrats want a better life for everybody. Republicans want a better life for themselves. Okay, in that case, I admit I'm being partisan. I'm a Democrat. I'm sorry. But like, Democrats tell the story that they want to improve things for the common man. I don't think they do a very good job at it. We don't sell it very well. We only sell it in states where we think we can win, and we have a lot of other problems. But like, we want to improve these cases, and if you shut your brain and think that no one who is black could have possibly voted for Trump, or no one who's Muslim could have possibly voted for Trump, you're an idiot. Don't be an idiot. And don't get so fucking hyped up about every single thing that you push away everyone who might consider you sane by being upset about the most minor things. Yes, Trump went on vacation 2 weeks into his presidency at his own resort in fucking Florida, and it's going to cost the American taxpayer $3 million. Who gives a fuck? We protect our first families. It's what we do. So don't get all upset about that. It's stupid, and it feeds the trolls on the other side of the aisle who then don't learn anything from the situation. Attack the real problems. Talk about the fact that putting Goldman Sachs executives into the cabinet, or repealing the Dodd-Frank Act, or turning around and telling fiduciaries they don't have, like, telling people who are investing in retirement funds they don't have to have their clients' best interest at heart. These are all terrible things for everybody. And you don't have to try that hard to convince people of that, but you have to get through the wall of understanding and empathy in order to have the conversation in the first place. And you can't do that if the way you approach it is to say, I'm right and you're wrong, and here's how you should look at it. Like, don't you feel stupid you made such a stupid decision? Don't do that! No one says, yes, I realize now you have opened my eyes to the light. Your perfect phrasing and reasoning has convinced me that the world is all my fault and I should have voted in a different way. Of course, that's stupid. No one's going to listen to you. So stop it. And shut your mouth for a little bit. And listen. And hear the people out there who are suffering and in trouble and trying to make a living or a retirement or whatever, and try and hear what they're saying. If you are interested in hearing these stories, if you are interested in hearing these things, the people are out there, and they're hard to find. It's hard to find anyone who isn't drastically partisan in this day and age in the United States, and probably most places in the world, because we seem to be heading towards a reign of populist rhetoric taking over countries throughout Europe as well. But listen, they're there. If you're interested in seeing pictures and anecdotes and stories, check out Chris Arnond on Twitter. I'll put a link in the description below. And like, see these things. And when you see a black guy who says, yeah, I voted for Trump, don't say, oh, it's a lie. Oh, it's cherry-picked. Oh, it's whatever. Listen and try and understand. It's the only way that we fix a lot of the political mess that I feel we've gotten ourselves into, is by listening to the people who are suffering around this fucking country and doing something for all of them. I'm the Chris who plays games, and this has been your CPG rant of the evening.